Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to 2026 as well. This is one of the first episodes being recorded this year. Today I am joined by the very beautiful Olaide Anjorin, who has many accolades under her belt. She is the owner of FaceSkincare, which is an Asian skincare company in Ireland. She is also a teacher and a model. And she's lived and worked all around the world, is a very inspiring human being. We met at a networking event and in Galway before Christmas. And I have to say that her energy kind of like lit up the room. We exchanged information, and I was like, I really want you to come on my podcast. And
I'm
so
so
here we
honored and happy to be here today. Thank you so much, Megan.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, can you tell us where you are dialing in from today?
Well, I'm currently in County Mayo in Ireland.
Exciting.
So, yeah,
Yes.
it's the west of Ireland.
What is the weather like there right now?
Well, I haven't seen the sun in about 3 days. We're currently going through one of those rainy, cloudy times, but it is January, But
Yeah.
other than that, it's freezing as well. But it's still, it's nice to be, it's quiet here in the West. It's not as crazy as the bigger cities and stuff. So it's a
Yeah.
nice combination of like balanced and cold.
Yeah. Yeah, I opted to spend January and probably a bit of February in Portugal. So I was in Lisbon like for the last couple weeks, which again is also a busy city. But now I'm in the Algarve and it's the off season. So I'm by the beach, but it's very quiet and like a lot of restaurants and shops and everything is closed. So I'm very much in like work mode, but it's very sunny. So that the
You
curtain.
know, I can see. I'm so jelly.
Yeah.
I'm so jelly. It's currently 10:58 and it actually looks like it's around like it's pretty dark outside. So
Oh.
the sun has definitely not come out yet, but that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us today.
Okay.
So,
Thank you for having me.
yeah. So your background, you've done so many different things
Mhm.
career-wise. Can you tell us a little bit about like your origin story? So like your cultural background,
Mhm.
and early days, like your ch sort of your childhood years, what shaped
Mhm.
you, and then we'll get into some of your early career stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, so like I've already been introduced, I'm Lide, and I grew up in Ireland, in a very small town called Castlebar. And I just was always wanting to travel and see the world and do things, right? It's always been in my head. So then I later went to uni, which in Donegal.
Nice.
If you're in Ireland, it's like near the north.
Hmm.
And
At the top.
yeah, at the top. It's a stunning place, like really, really stunning. And I
Okay.
went to a uni there where I majored in business marketing.
Nice.
And yeah, I fell in love. And then from there, I got an opportunity to do Erasmus to study in Belgium for like
Oh,
7 months.
wow.
And then
Yeah.
that's when things really got started. Like it was crazy. Went to so many countries in Europe, really got to see like, oh, there's so much more than just what was, because you don't think of stuff like that when you're in a small town, a small town girl, and you've never really experienced the outside world. So I think from there, I
For
just
for our listeners that aren't European, I'm
yeah.
just gonna do a little educational. The Erasmus program is like a network of universities throughout Europe where you can go and you can transfer and you can live and study at other universities. So,
Yes.
and it's such an incredible program. It's one of the things that broke my heart the most about Brexit was the UK being removed from that. Like, I just think that's so sad for people in Europe to not be able to study in the UK and vice versa. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
No,
yeah.
no, and it was because actually when I first read, I remember when I was choosing what uni and what course I wanted to do, it was on it, but it actually offered to go to Boston in America. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why actually. But then by the time I got into it, they were like, "Oh, well, this year we're offering Belgium," and I was like, "Oh, great, I'll take it,"
Yeah.
So I love that kind of like international aspect of it as well. So this sad with Brexit.
Yeah, although I think I read somewhere that that might be one of the first steps that the UK is taking to try to rejoin things in the EU. I think that they
Well,
are rejoining Erasmus, or they're going to try to. They probably are going to have to pay a huge fee, but
yeah, but they'll fix their errors.
some
They'll
of
fix
them, yeah,
they'll fix it.
yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, basically that's kind of where the love for traveling was.
Hmm.
And then I became the president of the International Society at the university. So by being the president of the International Society, we were given like opportunities to organize events to travel across Ireland. You know, you basically have to show the students about Ireland and the beauty of it. But I was also learning at the same time because, like I said, as a small town girl, there's just so much
Hmm.
I didn't see. So I
Yeah.
fell in love with how beautiful the country was. And then I really wanted to see more of the world. And then making so many wonderful international friends. Like some of my best friends, they're in Paris. My best friend lives in Finland. You know, you have people all over. And then I was able to do so much traveling. I think from there, it just, you know what I mean? Your mind just kind of just takes it from there. So many different people from different backgrounds. Some of them came back to Ireland to visit from people you met on the way. And it was so good. It was so phenomenal, phenomenal. And then after moving back, I ended up in Asia. So yeah, so that was kind of um it was great for me, you know. So, and then when I came back from my Erasmus, because it was only 7 months, I ended up, yeah, it was
Oh, I thought
7 months.
it was at least like a whole year. No.
No, no, like a whole semester.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
7 months, and almost, yeah, whatever way it worked out. And then, I became the welfare officer of my university.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so that was also really good because everything just kind of randomly fell into my lap. But I became the welfare officer, vice president welfare officer at the university. So this was also really great because I was, you know, had the connections with the international societies. I had basically organizing events. So whether it was mental health, you know, which I know you, as you know, it's
That's my
important. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So organizing events for mental health, road safety, drug and alcohol awareness, just things like that. So it really got me into like the sense of community, you
okay.
know. So one of our biggest campaign was also I remember I was in office when Ireland was doing the referendum for same-sex marriage.
Mm,
So yeah,
wow.
yeah.
What
So the
year was
student
that?
union, I can't remember what year it was, but it must have been 2015 maybe. But it was big, and the student union was a huge part of that, you
Hmm.
know. So we did a lot of campaigning, we did a lot of safe space where we would, you know, have conversations with the LGBT community, and I got a really good understanding, you know, for things like that as well. So overall, my uni experience, and you know, it was just it was amazing, you know.
Yeah, and I think also that sort of like international exposure that you had, what you're describing, you can't unsee it, right? Like
Yes.
once you get a taste for it, it's like so hard to not
So
continue to have that.
exactly, exactly. So I think so once I came back, it was just like, okay, what's next, you know?
Yeah. How can I
And
do this again?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then I wanted to before I had actually gone, I did a 10 weeks course learning Mandarin, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so because since
You,
I've been
like, how much did you learn in 10
oh,
weeks?
well, I'll tell you. So basically, since I was little, I've always said I wanted to be a business owner. I don't know why. It's just something I've always been. Like maybe because my parents are also entrepreneurs, but
Yeah.
always knew that's what I wanted to do. And I think I was reading an article somewhere, saw it on TV somewhere, where it's like China is the future of business and da 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 whatever. So one day I was walking down the hallway of the school, of the uni, and saw that there was a sign for like a 10 weeks course for Mandarin. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'll do it. And I remember contacting my father. I was like, Dad, can you pay for this course for me? And he just thought it was the most random stuff ever. So he was like, do you just think of ways to waste my money? Like
Yeah,
he was he was so random,
sure my
So,
dad would agree with
yeah.
that.
But thankfully with my parents, anything educational, they'll do it. So he paid for the course for me. I did it. It was taught by an Irish teacher, wonderful lady. And then after I came back from my Erasmus, I wanted to learn more because, like you said, you can only learn a little bit, right? And then
Mhm.
I went into her office and I told her I wanted to learn more, and she was like, "Honestly, like I taught you all I know, but if
Yeah.
you do want to learn more, you could go to Taiwan. They offer scholarships and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, great! What's Taiwan?" Because I've never heard of it, and I was like, "That sounds great. What is Taiwan?" And from there on, got like three different scholarships from them.
Mhm.
First went to like some humanitarian seminars.
Wow.
Then they invited me back to be the leader of the Irish delegation. I met loads of wonderful people. I met the Korean, the Japanese, like there was just people from all over the world, and these were fantastic people. Some of them were lawyers, some of them were doctors, and that's where I met one of my best friends for life, right, at one of these conferences. And it was just fantastic. And then eventually I got an opportunity and applied to do my master's in Taiwan. So, yeah, so that led, and kind of what we were talking off recording about taking opportunities and not being sure. So I remember when I got offered and got this scholarship, and then I realized a master's in Taiwan is 2 years. A master's in Ireland is only about a year, right? And I remember, I was stating to, I think it was either the registry of the university at the time. I'd met her at this luncheon party thing. And I said to her, I was like, oh, I don't know if because like I just want to be an entrepreneur. So I don't need a master's degree to hire myself, like two
Huh.
years. And she was like, listen, it's a great opportunity. And it's, free education because it's a scholarship.
Mhm.
You'll get to,
Yeah,
you
I mean, look, a scholarship, that's
know,
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was like, you'll get to travel, see many things. This she doesn't really see any downside to it. And what's 2 years? You're young. So I was like, okay, that's a great way to think about it. So it was great advice.
Mhm.
And what you call I even remember she was like, I probably shouldn't tell you this because as the uni we kind of want students to go and do their masters. But she's like, no, it's good to take time out, for yourself to figure out what it is that you want. So when you go to a foreign country like that and you're being exposed to so many things and you're getting the education, it's a no-brainer. So that's how the journey of living in Taiwan for almost 8 years started.
Yeah, the timeout thing, I'm such a huge advocate for that. And
Hmm.
especially like if you're young and you finished school and you've gone straight into uni, like I took a gap year and it was like one
Hmm.
of the best things that I ever did. And I
Yeah.
actually went back to my high school a couple years ago, or I guess it was like last year. I don't know. It was for our 20-year reunion, which is like
Yeah.
um, but we had to stand up and like give advice, right,
Yes.
to some of the students. And
Yeah.
so when they invited me up to speak, I'm sure I rocked the boat a little because it's a very posh uh, university prep high school.
Yeah.
And when they asked me, like everyone was like, do this to study, like do this, do that. And I got up and I was like, you don't have to go to university. Like take time
Yeah.
off, travel. And I'm sure all the parents were like, why
I'm
did
like,
you want to speak?
yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
was like, get to know yourself.
Yeah.
So many people go straight into university and like I think like more than 50%, probably higher, never use the degree subject that they study. And it's a huge,
Yeah.
it's quite a waste
Yeah,
of money.
no,
Like
because you
go
usually
back when
just,
you're ready,
yeah,
and you know what you want to study.
yeah.
How on earth are you supposed to know if you've never seen the world and you're like 16, 17? Like,
Exactly. And people just kind of follow this, what's expected of me, rather than, so yeah, so it's always good to try different things. Because even, for example, with doctors, right? Before you specialize, you go to different sectors, whether, you're doing pediatrician, whether you're doing radiology, you test it out before you kind of decide, okay, this is what I'm going for, you know? So I think that's so important. And you're like me, because for example, one of the things that I always say to everybody, like, of course, especially even with the teaching that I do, I always say education is a way, but it's not the only way.
Yes, 100%. Especially now, I think universities globally they just have gotten so expensive. Like it's a huge investment. If you have a scholarship, that is amazing. Well
Yeah,
done to you. But
yeah.
without that, like, I don't know, like money is precious, right?
Yeah.
Like money is energy, money is time. Like it's a huge investment if you're not even sure like what you're doing.
It is
So
that you want to do. Yeah, no, it's really true. And I always say to people, because I a lot of the most successful people I've met didn't go to university. You know what I mean? So I always say like it's just whatever it is that you want to do, just go for it, and then you'll figure it out. And then if, for example, if you need those special education then to further you in that thing that you're doing, then you can go aside, do some things. Because even for myself, I'm constantly always learning. I recently finished a diploma in women in leadership in Scotland, yeah, which was great. Yeah, yeah.
to do that, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was really great. Because one of the things it did for me was just to be in the presence, because every week they would have like a CEO or a top, somebody in business from all over the world that comes and talks to us about like just for example, one of the things I know that we had previously discussed is like the art of pivoting, so that was really good for me just to learn and meet this wonderful, successful women who are miles away from where they started, but it didn't change their trajectory of their careers or anything like that,
Yeah.
because they were able to be like, okay, I did this, it's great. Now what's next? You
Yeah.
know what? I don't want this. I'm going to do this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not just kind of what society expects them to do. I think one of the ladies that came to us told us she was like a president at Coca-Cola at one stage.
Oh,
And then she left it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like these were like really innovative people, and it taught me. So I was like, okay, so sometimes you're kind of scared, okay, what if I do this and then it doesn't work out? Then it didn't work out. Then we'll do something else, you
yeah.
know? So I
Yeah.
think it's so important to not feel like, okay, my age, or okay, I've wasted time on this. It's always like if you're 34 and you decide you want to get a medical degree, if it takes you 6 years, you'll still be just 40. You know what I mean? When you start being a doctor,
Yeah.
doctors go well into their 60s. That's still 20 years you could be doing and spending in a career that truly serves you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was 36 when I was like, um, I want to be a therapist. And everyone was like, ooh, that's going to take like 4 or 5 years. And I was like, yeah, so I need to start now.
Megan, I thought you were 34 this whole time.
What?
I literally thought you were like 34 this whole time. So good for
Um,
you.
yeah, no, so I finished I was all ready and like working with clients and stuff
Hmm.
just before I turned 40.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I really like pushed once I knew, like I think once you know, once you decide,
Yes.
once you commit, I
Yes.
hit the ground running and I did
Yeah.
everything I could to expedite the process as fast as
Yeah.
possible. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's another one of the best advice I received from a mentor of mine. Because especially with someone like me, where I have all these kind of like multifaceted kind of ideas and things and career, whether it's the teaching, whether it's the modeling, whether I feel like I just don't want to be in a box. I want to try it all. And
hmm
it was whenever he said to me, he was like, just pick a lane and then
yeah,
go for it.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
And if you want
I
to
found
change lanes, you can change lanes.
exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly. But I found even now that I'm in that lane, I'm going for it. And now that I've kind of got the tempo and it's flowing, I can actually then reach for other stuff that I can add to it. Rather than at the very start, you're just kind of going all the different directions, because then you're not getting anywhere fast. You know what I mean? So I definitely recommend for people, it's never ever too late. Like,
Ever.
just ever just go
Yeah.
for it, do what you want, and like, why not?
life is for living, right? And try all the things. When people are like, I have no idea what I want to do, what I should try. It was the advice that I gave to my brother when he was graduating from university and he didn't know what he wanted to do as a career. And I was like, so just pick something. Just pick something and see how it goes. And if you hate
Yeah,
it, then quit. And you'll be like, cool, that thing is not one of the things.
it's not for
And
me.
everything is a breadcrumb, and you just if you don't
Yeah,
know, you just kind of have to follow the breadcrumbs. Does this light me up? Does this not light me up?
yeah,
This doesn't light me up, not going to do this. Kind of
yeah,
like this. I'll do this for a few months. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
And it's kind of like what I always say as well. Like I think when growing up, I used to be like, "Oh, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter." Now I am the biggest quitter. I will quit
yeah,
anything. Like if it doesn't serve me, I will just be like, "I'm done. I'm out."
yep,
Pivot, move to something else. So I
totally,
think it's also understanding that it's completely okay to quit something, you know? The
yeah,
last ever job I had, I spent 6 months in it. I was like, this is not for me. And I got out of there. And it was the best decision. I learned so much from it that I can, put into the things that I'm doing now. But I'm so glad that I didn't spend too much time, in that career. And I think a story that I have to go with that was I remember when I was leaving that office and there was a man that came to me and we were talking about it and why I was leaving and stuff. And I remember he said to me, he was like, you he was like, I think he said something about like uh 16 or 17 years ago, I started a job. He was like the first week of the first job he ever had, he pretty much cried the whole week because he just wasn't happy. And he said 17 years later, I'm still there because I didn't have the courage to do what you had to do.
oh, that's so sad.
He talked about like, health issues that came with it. Even though he's not a drinker, he's not a smoker, but his health is not in good because these things affect you
Yeah,
mentally
yeah, it
and
impacts your
physically.
body and your mind. Like, if you're
You know what I
not,
mean?
you're deeply stressed, if you're
You
deeply
get
unhappy,
me?
it
Exactly.
manifests physically.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think because, everyone has different responsibility. I don't have children yet, so you don't know whatever reason, and especially I think it's harder for men being providers and things as well, just to kind of maybe leave a job. But like from when, whenever he mentioned that to me, I was like, oh wow, there are people every day that hate their job or hate certain things in their life, and they stick with it because they just don't have that courage to not do it, right? Whereas I feel like, especially now with Gen Zs and even, millennials, it's kind of just like if I don't like it, I'm changing it. I'm not putting myself through any of that. And I think COVID taught us so many things as well. I
Yeah,
have,
I think they've seen older generations like tough it out and
yeah,
suck it up. And it's like, why would you do
why
that?
would you do that? It affects you mentally,
Financial
physically.
reward, I think, is
Hmm.
not what it used to be, right?
Exactly.
A lot of
Yeah.
these big companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're working hard and you still can't afford to buy a house. So why am I putting myself through mental torture, should I say? So yeah, I think that, it's always good to when you sit with something, like for example, my New Year. Megan, do you have any kind of New Year resolutions or
I
anything?
do, I do. Well, I actually have created like an entire journal prompt thing for clients
Hmm.
of like wrapping up 2025,
Yes.
things that worked, things that didn't work, and then setting intentions for 2026, not just things like, I want to buy a house or whatever, which I don't, but things, not just material things, but also like how I want to feel, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So for me this year, actually, I didn't really do. Normally, I'm the type of person I get to journal, I do all of that. I think I was just facing burnout. We just launched a company 8 months ago, so I think by end of December, I was just like
The
AOK.
burnout was big for it definitely collective, and I saw it with almost every single one of my clients, and I was experiencing it too.
Yes.
Like I just ducked out at the end of December. I didn't even turn on an out of office, which I was like, this is so unprofessional of me, but I went to see friends in Italy for Christmas and I didn't even open my laptop. I can't remember the last time. I haven't opened my laptop for like more than a week. It was just closed. I didn't care. I was like, I am checked out. I paid my bills for the month. And I was like, leave me alone, world.
Oh, do
Like,
you know what I did for Christmas? What do you call it? For Christmas, I decided, this is the first time in my life ever to do this. I was like, I am so mentally exhausted.
God, yeah.
I need me time. And I booked myself into a hotel for 4 days in Dublin. I took a train up. I didn't even want to
Wow,
drive.
that's expensive.
I know, but you know what? I said to myself, I hadn't taken a salary since the business started. I was
Hmm.
like, not one single salary. I've just been investing everything back or whatever. So I was like, but I'm going to do this thing for myself, for my mental health, to be able to keep going for this business. And I
Hmm.
think that's part of it as well. You need to learn how to choose yourself, you know?
Hmm.
And of course, I know my parents would love me to be home and things like that. But I know it'd be a lot of things I'm just not mentally prepared for, helping to cook, helping to clean, entertaining guests and things like that. And I literally just booked room service for those 4 days. I didn't even tell any of my friends I was in town. I didn't want to meet up with anybody. I just sat there, and then my sister called me to check up on me. She was like, because she had came home. She lives in Scotland, and she was like, I came home to see you, and you're not even here. I was like, don't worry, I'll be home in a few days. So she was like, okay, let me give you my Netflix password because I don't watch Netflix. So she gave me her Netflix password. I caught up on what was that, Emily in Paris, like a whole season for those 4 days. Ate food, woke up for breakfast. Like it was like a retreat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's so important. I mean, that's one of my things for 2026 is I'm learning the hard way, right? Because the universe redirects you and it teaches you until you get the lesson. But
yeah,
every time I'm like, I try to cut corners
mhm.
financially,
Ends up
what
costing.
I've said is the lesson
Mhm.
is buy it cheap, buy it twice, right?
Yes,
So, like, it is worth me nourishing myself and
yes,
giving myself like the best, like the
hmm,
better genes that will last
longer.
10 years and not fall apart after I've had them for a month.
Yeah,
Spending a bit more on rent, which I've been very reluctant to do, but I'm like, you know what? I've learned my lesson. I went cheap when in Galway when I met you, the place that I was in, and that was a horrendous experience. And I ended up having to spend a fortune because I had to rent an office. I had to get my own internet. Like it was just ridiculous. I spent double what
yeah,
I thought I was going to spend.
yes,
And so that was a tough lesson. So now I know, like going forward, it's just
hmm,
worth it. Like
yeah,
you have to work out um kind of what your I like pillars are, your like wellness pillars and what is a non-negotiable. Like I do it with a lot of clients and like these are things that if it's pricey, but it's one of your non-negotiables, it's always okay to spend money on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Convenience. I think the older you get, you want to, it's worth it for you to pay that little bit more for convenient. And I think, for example, the reason why I'm able to do this, because like you said, these things, if you're lucky enough and what do you call it, to be able to be privileged enough to be able to afford stuff like that, not everyone can do that. But I think where I learned that from was when I was living in Asia, right?
Hmm.
Almost every week or every 2 weeks, the people in Taiwan, they work so hard, people work
Yeah.
really hard, but there was also like a really nice work and life balance in the sense that at the weekends, most people go to hot springs. Most people go to staycations, and like literally, I didn't know that. Like you could just, decide that, oh, you know what? I don't want to stay in my house this weekend. I'm gonna go book a nice hotel in the city and stay there, enjoy food, go to the pool. And I would get invited to things like this. My friends were like, oh, what do you think we should do this weekend? Should we go to this hot spa? Should we do this? And then it became part of my lifestyle that I knew that yes, I work hard, hard and hard, but it's also important to take that time to nourish yourself and do something for yourself.
Hmm.
So that's where I got the idea. I was like, I need me time. I need to go and regroup. I need to do nothing. And I had to be selfish because, of course, I know my family would love to be, spend Christmas time and stuff. But for my own mentals, it was so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as a therapist, like the self-care is essential. So if I'm not giving myself the self-care, I can't be a good therapist. And I try to model this to my clients.
Mm.
And so whatever they need to do to fill up their cup, to check out whenever they need to check out. Um, yeah, it's just essential. It's essential. When you finished your master's program,
Yeah. What
what did
happened?
you, yeah, what happened?
So
Because that
yeah.
was the beginning of your career, right?
Yes, that was the beginning of my career. So I think because I had gone to all these, humanitarian seminars, and like I said, I got to lead as a leader of the Irish delegation for one of them. And in my head, I was like, oh, I'll probably, go into like maybe a, diploma or something like that. And I ended up doing my internship and working for the European Union in Taiwan.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it sounded good. It sounded prestige. It sounded like what I should be doing. I was doing my master's in international communications. I was learning Chinese. It just was ideal, right?
Hmm.
And then I did it and I didn't like it at all.
Okay.
I just was like, okay, this
What was
was
the job title?
well, because the first one that was interning, so it was just like what was it? Marketing, communication, social media. It was just like, it was all
Okay.
the stuff.
For the
Um,
EU in
yeah,
Taiwan.
for
Wow.
yeah,
I
because
didn't
it's
realize they had a presence there, but that would,
oh, they do. There's an office there, but I think it was also that's part of it as well. The people you work with is so important, because I think it was an office filled with much older people,
hmm.
and a lot of them their English was not fluent, so it's very quiet. There was also a very different working structure. For example, in Ireland, we take our lunch breaks, very seriously.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
go out the office, we have tea, we have chats. Whereas at lunchtime, I mean, I thought it was cool at first, but people would just put their head on their desk and sleep. And I was like, oh, great, we get to nap at office. But there was no like social aspect to it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or people got their food delivered into the office and maybe lunchtime you're just kind of eating like it's not very interactive. And I
Hmm.
think from someone like myself, knowing my personality, I love to
Yeah.
communicate. I grew, growing up in Ireland and what the social lifestyle
Yeah,
aspect of
like well,
it.
and in Ireland, it's like you'll have a cup of tea and you'll chat with everyone.
Exactly.
Like that
And
is so important in
so
Ireland.
important. And then even for example, 5 o'clock, once that time hit, I'm out of there. But that's also seen as kind of like it's almost like it's more respected the later you work, even though you're
Yeah,
not getting paid for that time. And for culturally for me, that doesn't make sense. I'm finished at 5. I'm
yeah.
out of there. So it just was very different. I found I didn't really enjoyed it. And it was the first time ever. I remember waking up one morning and I was like, I don't want to go today. And I'm just going to call in sick. And I had never experienced that feeling before.
Uh,
Because, and I just remember going, I never want to feel like that again. I said
yeah,
that to
I think it's also like notice that with like for anyone listening, notice that. And when that happens like a couple of times, pay attention to that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and actually to what do you call it, piggyback off that, that was what I was trying to say about my for the new year, right? One of the resolutions that I always had, I didn't need to add it because I've developed it the last 3 years, is anything I do. So even if it's just like someone invites me out for lunch, right?
Hmm.
I ask myself, like deep down, I'm like, do I want this? Am I mentally able for this today?
Yeah.
Do I want to get in my car? I think it's so important to really listen to yourself because sometimes I think we just go along with it and we do this and we do, and then we're burnt out, right? But when you literally, I'm like, I don't want to go today. I don't want to leave my house today. I'm happy here. I like, let's catch up another time. You know what I mean? Rather than just constantly forcing yourself. And I think in career as well, like things that you're doing, once in a while, it's good to check in with yourself. Does this make me happy?
Yeah.
Where do I see 6 months from now if I'm doing this exact same thing? Am I okay? You know what I mean? I think it's so good to really, really check in. So literally, I do with every single thing. It's like, what do I want to eat today? Like, what do I really want to do? You know what I mean? So now, because it's like 3 years in of practicing this, it's so easy for me to determine what I want and what I don't want. And anytime, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I want to do that. Or, you know what I mean? It just makes,
Yeah.
it really has helped me a lot in just my personal happiness. exhaustion and just, really deciding and choosing to do things that fulfill me as a person, you know? So I
Yeah.
think it's definitely, it helps you a lot, even career wise. I'm like, what am I happy with what I'm doing? Once in a while I check in, is this what I want to be doing? And then you go from there, you know?
And I think it makes your like your pivot experiences so much smoother and makes so
Yeah.
much more sense. Like
Yes.
you don't have to explain it to anyone else, right?
Uh-huh.
If it's not lighting you up, if it doesn't feel right, if something
Yeah.
inside is off, like
Yeah.
pivot.
Exactly. So like after that office, right, I didn't like it. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna pursue this because actually it just didn't serve me. And then as a marketer, communication marketing, I was like, okay, what's next? But things just kind of naturally fell into my lap, you know. I then got into modeling in Taiwan, where someone had asked me to like hand model for an event, and then next thing I know, it blew up, and it was like on like the company that I ended up. I was literally there to hand model, right? And then next thing I know, they asked me, they're like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Do you want to be in our campaign?" And I was like, sure." Next thing I know, I was in their campaign, and it was in Vogue, it was in Elle. Didn't get paid for this, by the way. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then from then on, I remember one time just sitting in the cafe eating my lunch after class, and I got a phone call from some random person that was like, the Asus computer company, they want you to do a commercial and blah blah. I'm like, okay. Like it literally just kind of developed from that. And then
Uh-huh.
I just kept saying yes to things and giving things a try. I got involved in podcasting a little bit in Taiwan. And then of course, teaching, because teaching actually was like a survival thing. Because as a student in Taiwan, if you're from a native English speaking country and you have, a bachelor's, whatever, you can get a teaching job that allows you to kind of work and study, and I did have the scholarship as well, but it was always good to have that extra income.
Mhm.
And it actually paid better than working for marketing companies. So yeah, yeah, it was really good. And you could pick your own times and hours. I got really lucky with that. So that's where I kind of fell in love with that. And it kind of just grew as well, where I'd got invited to teach at universities and teach classes about I taught a workshop about career, like how to get your job, right? Because there was never a job interview I went in that I didn't get the job.
Wow.
Yeah, so I used
I can
to.
see that. That doesn't surprise me. You like your energy and your confidence. I can see that if you want it, you would get it.
Yeah, but for me, it was important but it just starts with doing things that you're passionate about. You know what I mean? I can't fake it. If I don't know I'm just here for the money, or I'm not probably gonna get it because there's, what I mean? But if I'm passionate and talking about like what it is that I want to do and stuff. So I'm very picky, and I always go into the any type of interview with the mindset. It's not I'm hiring, like they're hiring me, but I'm also hiring them.
Yes,
Do
I
I
say
want to work for you? You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Like
what's your energy?
questions at the end. Like, do you have any questions? And it's like, yeah,
Oh,
I always used
oh,
to ask,
yeah,
why should I work for you?
yeah,
And I would ask them, can you be honest? Like, are you happy here?
yeah.
And that one really throws the interviewers. I've had someone
Yeah.
got really flustered when I asked them that.
Mhm.
They were like, "What? Excuse
It's
me?"
a power dynamic thing as well, right? Because now it's kind of like, wait, it's like, oh, this person's like, they don't even know if they want to work here. You know what I mean? So,
Well,
like,
that should have been a big indicator to me that I actually wanted to be a therapist because I was like, "Are you happy?"
yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, "What?
exactly.
This is a brewery. Like, why are you asking these questions?"
No,
Yeah.
it's true though, so like it's true. Like one of the questions I always ask when I'm at those interview was, what do you call it? Like, for example, what are the opportunities to grow from this role in the next, So that always tells you, because
Yeah.
like the one of the last ones that I had, it was just like, oh, it's a great place, and there was no substantial answer. So,
Mhm.
and even just after 6 months of being there, you kind of realize that, oh, you're kind of probably just cap in a box. So it is good to ask, because don't always think, oh, I'm begging, I'm begging. No, you also want to know, like,
Yeah, it's that like pick me kind of
yeah,
energy.
no, I go in there like, should I pick you? You know what I mean? It's an interview for both in all aspects of your life, even when you're choosing friends and the type of people you're spending your time and energy with. It's so important to ask yourself, all goes back to asking yourself, do I even want this? You know what I mean? What does
Yeah.
everything should be mutual? It should be mutual respect, it should be mutual values, and it shouldn't all be one-sided, like, you know. So always be ready to pivot, change things if you don't like it. You know, I can't stress that enough because anytime I didn't like it, I changed it. I always end up in a better place, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so after that, in with that, then I loved the modeling, loved the teaching, and then I just unfortunately had some health issues, so I couldn't. I think that was another thing as well. It's so important not to try and do everything at
Yeah.
once. I was teaching, I was modeling, I was working as a consultant in the US, different time zone. I was working with startup companies. There was just, I loved it. It didn't feel like work, but my body just was not. It was not it at all.
Yeah.
So ended up crashing out, had some health issues, and then I really had to kind of scale things back and just now I have to say to myself, okay, what are we doing? Like, where are we going with this? And then if I feel like, okay, like I said with the whole Christmas thing, it was also like, okay, I'm getting to that burnt out stage. What do I need right now? And I need just peace, quiet, me time. And it was the best decision, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I
yes.
think once you've been through it, you can recognize the signs much quicker. Like I'll never let myself get to that point. Like I've gotten there before, and like so it's like all the self-protection. You got to just
Mhm.
do things to
Yeah,
look.
yeah. And listen, I have people in my life that are workaholics and they get there every 6 months and then they'll do it again and they'll do it again. And you're just like, you need to look after yourself. Like you can't continue like this. You shouldn't wait till you've absolutely exhaust yourself
Yeah.
to then take time off because your body, if you don't choose a day to rest, your body will choose for you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah, I said that in I quoted my friend, my French friend who has said that to me before, and she says, if you don't schedule a break, it will be scheduled for you.
Yeah, yeah. No, but
And
it
I was,
really is. No, no, I love it. And I always try to think of my brain as a literal computer. You know, like you just can't be on all the
yeah, and
time.
you can't keep all the windows open, right? You got to shut it
Put on the
down.
tabs, you'll start glitching.
Yeah,
You
completely.
know, so yeah, yeah. So yeah, and then
So did that took you back to Ireland?
that took me back to Ireland because it was also around COVID as well. Like
Mhm.
95% of my friends had to leave, you know, Taiwan because a lot of their work got stopped. For me, it didn't affect me at all, thankfully. But like I had like 10 jobs. So it was like there was always something at the time because I was over exhausting myself. So I was fine, but just health wise. And then you kind of want to be around your people when you're not feeling the best and stuff. So then I decided to come back and I was back home to Ireland. And then it started again because it's like, now what am I gonna do? Right? I had some ideas and stuff, and I was like, okay, so then now you're starting all over again, right? But I was okay with that because I knew whatever it is, I'll figure it out, right? So and starting a business was always something that, like I said, even before I did the masters, before I went to uni, I knew I wanted to do. So then trying to figure out what exactly it is that I wanted to start the business in, you know, taking time for myself. You know, I had a few ideas here and there, but it was just deciding, you know, because everything is, oh, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if it doesn't work out? Or what if, you know what I mean? The what ifism. And then when I finally decided on face skincare, so we basically focus on Korean, Japanese, Taiwanese skincare product, which was also from my experience with the modeling, right? Because whenever you'd have to go into castings, you couldn't wear makeup. And basically, people are literally judging you for yourself. You had to go naturally. So then the one thing I had to take care of was my skin, right? So I really got into like skincare and in being in Asia and you know just seeing all the amazing products and it was just phenomenal. And then coming back and seeing that gap in the Irish market, it was kind of like a no-brainer, something
That,
I'm passionate about, something that'll help people in the community with self-confidence. And I got out the makeup for you, Megan, but I normally don't wear makeup. But like, you know what I mean? Just um it kind of was a full circle moment, and then using the experiences that I got from working at the European Union office, from the teaching, and because especially with the teaching, it was so fun because you have to constantly think of ways to be creative, to
yeah.
engage students. And I mean, my youngest students was 9 months old. That's another story. Like, yeah, that was like I got this parents, they called me and they were like, "Oh, we have."
Want that job.
Oh my God, no, they were like, we have twins and we want them to start learning English and da, da, da. And I was like, okay, well, send me on their age so I'll prepare like the class. And then they're like, they're 9 months old. They actually can't talk yet. And I was like, wait, what? Like this was a pure like rich people thing where they just wanted me to like because like they just wanted me to read to them and speak to them in English. And then I couldn't baby talk to them. That was the one rule. So I can't be like, oh, like I had to like really like speak to them and talk to them
I
and
think that a lot of like wealthy or families that get nannies or like
yes,
pairs, they intentionally choose ones
yes,
that speak a different language so that the
exactly.
children can be immersed in
Yeah,
it.
but the funny thing is, just they had a nanny. They had a Taiwanese nanny that was there to what do you call it? I think the father was like in finance or something, right? So he was always in his office. The mom, she was just like a housewife, whatever, a gorgeous lady. But then I'd just be in a room for 45 minutes with these kids, and they're just crawling around, twins, and I'm reading things to them. But it worked because it taught me so much. Because like when I'm doing something, I want to be good at it. So I
Mhm.
had to get into this line of understanding children's and infants' brain and how it works and trying to work on their motor skills and develop. So I learned so much in that aspect as well, right? And the
Yeah, and
kids
the
were,
parents were right. Like from developmental psychology, like 0 to 7 is when your brain stuff that happens between from the womb up until you're like 7 years old
yeah.
is really when your brain is
It
forming.
really, yeah, and it paid really well, so I was happy. Like, it was really good. But like, yeah, so that's what I mean by, sometimes people come with so many opportunities and I just said yes, and then I figure it out
Mhm.
as I went along. So even now, when I eventually have my own children, I've learned so much when it comes to like, infants and their skills and what they need to develop. Like they're going to be learning Chinese, just like these
Yeah.
ones are because I want them to speak. And they have so many aunties and uncles. They're going to be shipped off to Taiwan like to learn Chinese. But yeah, so that was another little pivot. Then it got into infancy. Then I got hired by the consulting for the Chinese companies where they want their team to improve when it comes to business language, communication, customer service, sales, things like that. So I was more than happy to, yeah, sure, because it's all kind of just interlinks. So I gave myself a chance. I learned all these different skills and just I did, just did it. So please, I would like if anyone's listening, it's just so important to give yourself that chance and you meet people and opportunities by putting yourself out there, which is how we met.
Yeah, completely. I know, and I mean, I was in Galway, and I was like, I need to find some networking events because I want to meet some. I wanted to meet women in business in like the west of Ireland, and then it was like my phone heard me. I must have said that out loud, and literally May's event popped up, and it was like, this is this on Saturday, like women in business, like marketing, da da da, and I was like, yep, cool, done. Yeah, and I'm so glad I went to that. It was really good.
Just
Yeah.
networking wise as well, and the different people you meet,
Mhm.
from different backgrounds and stuff. So I think it's also like you said, putting yourself out there because
Yeah.
living in Taiwan, I felt like, yeah, I went to loads of networking events. One of my best friends, I'm going to be her bridesmaids in Hong Kong. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
We met at a networking event while I was out in Asia, like years ago.
Wow.
And now when I moved back to Ireland, because I don't know, it just didn't come something I never thought about. Oh, I need to network. But then now with the business, it's so important for me.
Important.
So
Yeah.
important. And honestly, I can say it's been so satisfactory because just the most phenomenal people that you meet, you know?
Yeah.
And I love it because you hear different stories and different careers, and it's just so motivating. So basically, like I said, my mentor had said focus on one thing. So I was like, "Do you know what? What is it that I've always wanted to do?" And it went back to I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So
Hmm.
I really focused on that and went for it, right? And I'm grateful. It's been going really good. In less than 6 months, we had shipped to every single county in the Republic of Ireland.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful. And so I've been kind of following that, networking, trying to meet people, trying to grow the business organically. So it's not majority on advertisement online because it is an online e-commerce business.
Hmm.
But then now as well, because it's just my nature as well. And I'm like, okay, what else would I love to do that'll serve me? So we're actually launching an English academy here in Ireland,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of people in Ireland, especially with the influx of like foreigners and things like that, a lot of people I find because I've given about two paid talks for the county council, and we needed a translator. People from Ukraine, people from different parts, and I'm sure, to be able to um, create a service where people can, from the comfort of their home, just like this, to just have a conversation, basic conversations. Because a lot of people, they have kids, they have families, and I try to put myself in their shoes when I was a foreigner in a different country. You might not want to go to a class, but if you can just meet online and talk about your day, learn different words,
Hmm.
try to improve your everyday communication skills without stress.
Hmm.
So we're launching that academy actually later this month, and that also it links up because it's with the teaching experiences that I have and working for the schools and working with the different businesses and people of all different ages and backgrounds. So we're going to be launching that, and I'm excited for that.
Uh,
It's called Air Academy, and we are basically it's about getting the advertisement and getting the class, but I'm still trying to decide if we'll do some test trials first. And there are some agencies that I know that I can reach out to and see if we can get like some testers and stuff. So, but it's just a lot going on with the business now. Now that we're in here, I have to get all the Valentine's campaign stuff approved, ordered, box shipping, things like that. So, but I know it's something because I think New Year, improving your English, I want to, capitalize on that time frame of the start of the year.
well, and
So,
it is also just like so January is still we're still kind of wrapping up some of the 2025 stuff, but it's really I find early Feb is
yes,
that's when 2026 really kicks off. Like I really
exactly. For
honor
me,
Chinese.
especially,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, for me, especially after living in Asia for so long, my New Year always starts with Chinese New Year in February.
Like we're just
Yeah.
tired.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, so basically, that's kind of the gist of it anyway, of pivoting and changing things. And now I have to say, I'm very happy. I'm happy doing with the business. I'm happy that I'm in a space where I can start reaching out and grabbing things that I love as well. So I'm grateful for all the opportunities. I still get some modeling jobs, here and there, but my main focus right now is that business. But yeah, for anyone, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever ideas, it's never too late.
Yeah.
And I think I told you, I have friends that work at TikTok. I have
Yeah.
friends that work at Facebook, and they've recently just decided that they didn't want to do it anymore, and they're all starting their various careers, and some of them are still trying to figure it out. And I love that for them. People
Yeah.
just want to live in their own purpose now rather than just doing stuff because it feels right or it's expected of you.
And I think that that's also, we're going to see a lot more of that. That feels like a big sort of societal shift
Hmm.
of people investing in themselves and doing
Yeah.
what it is that they really want to do. Because as you said, what is the point of like busting your ass, killing yourself for a salary that doesn't even really cover all the costs, right? Like
Yes.
you might as well do what it is that you really actually want to do. And you'll
Hmm.
figure it out. And there's so many ways to work and live now. There's just, yeah, the
Yeah.
possibilities are all there
Are
for you.
endless. Yeah. And then I think for me, I'll end with this in this aspect of I saw a quote recently. I can't remember the name of the lady, but she was like, enjoy your 20s,
Mhm.
work hard in your 30s, uh, work how you want in your 40s.
Whoop whoop.
Right? Which you're literally doing that right now, right? I'm in my work hard era,
Mhm.
and then by the grace of God, by the time I'm in my 40s, I want to be able to work how I want in my 40s.
Mhm.
And then I think maybe what retire in the 50s, I can't remember the end of it, but I was like, I loved that. You know what I mean? Enjoy your 20s, work hard in your 30s, work how you want in your 40s, and then you can plan, for or work and then work whenever if you want in your you know
In
what I
your
mean?
60s.
In your
Yeah,
60s.
yeah, yeah,
I
completely.
love that. Yeah, so because that's what you want at the end of the day. Is I don't want to have to work hard in my 50s or 60s, not even my 40s. So yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. So if you're doing something now and you're like, will this get me to that point?
Yeah,
Or am I still gonna be working really, really hard in my 50s? Kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah, and I also in terms of the like shifting focus and changing to work on what it is that you want to work on, I want to thank you and credit you with the word pivot
Yes.
because for people who've listened to previous episodes, I always phrased career shifts and career changes more as like rock bottom moments, and that was often the energy of like people staying in something for too long, burning out, whatever. But your energy, like your whole ethos, is that like let's just avoid that whole sort of thing of even getting to that point. And when I met you, you were like, no, 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 pivot. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, you were like, there was never a rock bottom. I
Yeah.
like you know yourself, you know your energy so well. You
Yeah.
tapped out as soon as it didn't feel right and you just did a pivot. And
Yeah.
so actually I'm like working through company names and stuff, and I've considered pivot because I
Ah,
was
I love that.
it's so appropriate. I think that's going to be like a tagline or a
Yeah.
subheading because it's
No.
so much of what I try to help people do as well in their lives, in their careers, in their
Yeah.
relationships at work
Yeah.
is just pivot.
Yeah, your art, I what you call it, your tagline, literally, because that's what I call it, the art of pivoting.
Yeah,
It's literally an art
I
to me,
love
like
it.
of pivoting, and just you get so inspired by seeing other people, like you said, because when I asked you at the start of this, I was like, what do you want your audience to get from this?
Hmm.
Like you said inspiration, and you want them to know that it's okay, right? And I learned that
Got
from you.
permission.
Yeah, exactly. And I learned that as well from taking, the course and seeing other women who had like reached the like pinnacle of their careers, and then they were like, you know what, I want to do something else. I want to be farm. And you're just like, but you're like the vice president of this multinational company, but now you're like, I want to be farm, and and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna enjoy my life, and I don't want to, just to because of all what people will say. You know what
Hmm.
I mean?
Who cares?
Literally,
Yeah,
no one cares, and it's about you. And I think as well, there's a lot of people that don't have the luxury to be able to make this choice. And what I mean
yeah,
by that is, I also grew up, in certain communities as well, where certain parents might expect you to study something or do something, or this is what you want to do. I fought for myself personally, like, because for example, with my father, he really wanted me to do nursing for whatever reason, and I don't even like being in a hospital. It depresses me. It makes me
yeah,
sad. I don't like to see people weak and sick. So for me, I really fought for myself, and I got those scholarships. So I didn't have to ask for help to pay for certain things, so then I could do it, because he thought like business was just like, he, even though he's a business owner himself, but because he knows how hard it is, he didn't want that for me. And he was just like, I know that if you graduate as a nurse, you'll definitely get a job at the end of it. Whereas with business, and as you know yourself, being an entrepreneur, sometimes you just don't know when the next check is coming in, or
yeah.
it's really difficult, but because I have this desire in me and I've always been that person that like what makes me happy, what serves me, and I think as long as you're doing anything, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you enjoy it, you're going to be successful in it because it won't feel like
You're
work.
definitely an entrepreneur. Like it's your all of your energy. And I
Yeah.
think when you are sort of like designed that way, when you're built that way, that's the word built.
Hmm.
When you're
Yeah.
built that way, you can't like you just can't avoid it. I am too. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't there's no way I could do anything else now. There's
Yeah.
just no way. Like there's
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
and I think I experienced that with my father as well because he
Yeah.
had his business for a while and he
Hmm.
was very, very successful. But I
Yeah.
know parents want safety and security for their children. They
Exactly.
just
Yeah,
do.
yeah. And just literally the same thing. I was at a event and I met this lady, wonderful lady, and she was asking me about, well, she was a doctor, and the lady, it was actually like an engagement party, and the lady getting engaged was also a doctor, so it was all of her doctor friends. And then they were asking me, what do I do? And I was like, oh, just business, because I thought, they wouldn't be interested. She's like, oh, just business. So she was like, and she's like, no, that's awesome. That sounds like I'd love to be doing what I really want to do. And I remember I never dived into it, but you could tell that, you know what I mean, that
Cry for help.
there was a little cry for help in there, or just a little sadness like, oh wow, you know what I mean? So I think some people, they just don't have that to be able to say no.
It takes a lot of drive.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I think what really helped me as well, like I said, was leaving and traveling and moving from places to places at such a young age. It
Mhm.
really helped develop my mind because I realized there's more to life. I met some wonderful people that taught me that like you can always pivot, you can always change.
Yeah.
People with really interesting stories and backgrounds, and seeing people that are making something out of nothing. You know what I mean? Like I got invited to this house. This house was fabulous. And I was just like, oh, what do you do? And he was like, oh, I own a sock business in China. And I was like, okay, you can make millions of dollars selling socks in China, And then his wife had this tea business, and we went down to their basement, and she did this tea ceremony. And he's selling socks, she's selling tea, but they're richer than the average person. You know what I mean? So I think getting out of that mindset of like, oh, I gotta just be a lawyer, I gotta be a doctor, I gotta do this, or I gotta stay in this job, or whatever it is that you want to do, as long as you're passionate about it and you give it a go, because I was like, this is so cool. It was like, yeah, we design socks, we have our websites, and we have this tea company and this, and I was just like, wow. So I think being exposed to something like that, it's hard for me to just be in a box, you know?
Completely. Yeah. I normally end by asking what advice you would give to yourself from your lowest point. But again, with the
Mhm.
pivoting, I feel like you're quite good at not letting yourself get to a super low point. But what advice would present day you
Yeah.
give to a younger version of yourself?
Yeah.
I feel like you've given so much advice.
Yeah.
Would you say that pivoting is that thing, or do you have any other
Um,
wise words?
well, I think there definitely is low points. You know what I mean? For sure, for sure. I think probably one of the lowest points is probably maybe when I was about 25 and I've graduated and I'm doing all these different things, but there's not one like kind of substantial career that you feel like, okay, this is it. And you just kind of feel lost. You're like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I supposed to do? Like I enjoy all the little bits that I'm doing, but I'm not really like I can't say I'm particularly in one career. So it was like a dark point where you're just kind of trying to feel where you belong, your sense of belonging and sense of purpose, right? So
Mhm.
you can be doing a job, you can like it as well, but if you don't feel like you're fulfilling like a purpose to it.
Mhm.
So that's why it was so hard for me to try and figure out what business I wanted to do because I didn't want to just sell something just to sell something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what's the purpose of it? What am I doing? How is this going to improve people's life? And it's a selfish thing because it's about me, right? It's about how I feel about me. It's not even about the outside world. And when it all kind of, came into a full circle was when I was like, okay, well, And that's why with the business model, like we go to schools and we do talks to schools because it's about self-confidence. There was a time growing up where I would never be able to walk outside without makeup or feel confident enough. You know what I mean? Even with, yeah, oh my God, even with my own natural hair, as an
Yeah.
African person, and just the goal and what I like now with our company is just making people feel beautiful in their own skin. You know what I mean? And I say to like a lot of people, especially because, we're a skincare company, I say to young ones, you don't need collagen, you don't need all the harsh ingredients. Change your pillow, drink water. Like I'm not here to try and sell you stuff. If you have issues, we have products to fix those issues, but it's not just about selling, selling, selling. You know what I mean? And just to help people feel good, feel pretty, enjoy life, and you don't have to overthink things. And so I feel like now that's the purpose that I've developed. So yeah, just to go back to the answer for the advice is figuring out what that purpose is, that makes you happy, yeah, because it makes me happy to think, oh, I'm making a difference. Like this morning, we got a review and I screenshot it because it made me so happy. Let me see if I can quickly get it up. And because I was like, literally, that's what it's about for me. And yeah, the review, it was like I don't know if you can see it, but she literally goes, amazing product, does what it says on the tin without any irritation or sensitive. Thanks so much for making K Beauty available in Ireland. And I was
Oh,
Oh, I don't know who she is. And the product she bought is basically if you have like acne or congested stuff, it basically just helps you remove all that gunk
mhm.
and help you with your, to clear the skin and stuff. So when I saw that this morning, that gave me a little bit of like a yay. It's not
Like
just
that
selling
you're
stuff.
doing, yeah.
You know what
And
I mean?
to touch on what you said a minute ago, that you said it feels selfish. It's not,
Mhm.
because if you're just doing something for the money and you're kind of miserable, you're not bringing anyone up around you. If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you're lit up inside, right?
Yeah.
And you're like a battery, right? Charging the people around you.
Yeah.
So it could just imagine if everyone loved what they were doing. Oh my God, the world would look so different,
I'll be so happy, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It
people
would.
that can do what lights them up should,
Mhm. Yeah.
because we need so much more of that.
Yeah, and it does take time. It took me time to figure it out, right? But it's worth it because there were so many other things, I could have done. A lot of people used to say to me, "Oh, you should do YouTube. Oh, you should do social media." But you know what? I asked myself this. Honestly, I sat with myself and I said, "Would I want to do that?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't want to get on camera every day. I don't want to. That's not for like yeah, I'd be good at it. I really think I'd be good at it.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
but I'm like what purpose am I? You know what I mean? Like maybe with my like if it was like the teaching with my one-on-one clients and things like that, but it's just not something that I know I'm passionate about. And then now even in the business, for example, as the business owner, I know I kind of have to put myself out there more. I have to get on camera, I have to talk about products and things. But then I'm like, do I really, really want this? So I've kind of just decided, do you know what? I'm gonna go by my own feelings and I think I'll just get other people to do it. It's going to be a bit more costly because you're sending out more products, you're doing whatever, but I want to do something that makes me feel like I'm creating value and I don't and I think I yeah of course I can do that but I know it's not something fulfilling for me so
Yeah.
then I'm just going to pivot and figure out a way to solve this issue you
Well, and
know
that's a real entrepreneur sort of trait, is to be able to delegate what's not in your zone of genius
yeah
to people who it is in their zone of genius, right?
yeah
Totally.
Yeah, I
So,
know. No, but it's so true though. But then, for example, every business talk, even at that event that we met, you're constantly being told that you have to be out there, you have to get out there, you have to be in front of the camera, but then it's not something I really necessarily want to do.
I
I would rather be behind the scene. So it's that conflict and fighting that, like, okay, this is what I'm told I'm supposed to do, and this is what I have to do, but this is what I want to do. So now I'm just like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna figure it out myself
Mhm.
and see what works, without
Yeah.
exhausting myself. But yeah, so I think everyone should really just, that's the one thing. If you take anything from everything I've said, it's just really ask yourself and do it with every little things. Like today, I'm like, what do I want to eat today? Like, if this was my last day, what do I really want to eat today? You know what I mean? And then it's like, do I want to go to this event? Do I want to, you know what I mean? Do I want to, and then you decide, you know? I recently had a networking event that I was so excited to go. And then the night before, I was like, I'm tired. And then I was like asking ChatGPT, I was like weighing it up and da, da, da. I was like, do I, should I, am I, is this beneficial? ChatGPT told me, yeah, you should do it, da, 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 whatever. And then I was like, I'm not going to do it because my body said no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know, of course, sometimes you have to kind of, but mentally, I needed that day where I just was like, no, I don't want to do this. I'm not mentally prepared to be like, oh, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm still recovering from all that, the emotional, because you give a lot. You're constantly meeting people, you're talking, you're just energy and energy. And I think
Networking events take a lot of energy for
and,
sure.
and I would
Right.
rather be there when I want to be there, not when I feel like I'm just there to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think really just understand that has helped me so much in life. Oh my God. Do I want to do it? No, I don't. Okay, move on.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I'll ask you a question.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh, go. Yeah.
from you
Uh-huh.
as a therapist, right? Like pivoting wise, what did you do when it comes to pivoting? What's your experience with that?
I have pivoted many times as
Mm.
well. I mean, when we met, I think I did say like that I felt like there was such strong synergy between us.
Yeah,
Um, I also rarely let myself get to a place where it's so bad that like I won't tough it out.
yeah,
If it sucks, I will leave, right? And I've done that. I think I'm more, well, in work situations. In relationships, maybe I have been known to like tough it out for too long. I think in like dating things,
yeah,
but for myself, for work, like yeah, it has to light me up. It really,
yeah,
really has to light me up. So I've pivoted many times and I like went from working in advertising to working with a travel company
yeah,
to working with a wine company to working with a beer company
yes,
to like always being in marketing. And then it was such a shift when I knew that I wanted to be a therapist, and that was a huge pivot.
yeah,
And but I decided, and I was like, yeah, well, there's no time like the now, and I'm just gonna do it.
I
Yeah,
love
and all of my marketing people were like, "What? But you're like a marketing guru." And I was like, "Well, I
Mhm.
can still be a marketing guru, and
Yeah,
now I'm also going to be a therapist."
yeah, and
Now I'm
learn how to market yourself.
yeah, and like on when I was doing my therapy training and I was talking
Mm,
about wanting to have a podcast, everyone was like,
mm.
"But you're training to be a therapist." And I was like, "There's no like
Box.
multiple things can be true at the same time. Like there's no
Yeah,
reason why I can't be a therapist and have a podcast and like have worked in marketing and have a blog. Like why
yeah.
not?"
Why not? Like
Yeah.
literally, yeah, I love that, and I ask that because for me, it's also always good to kind of constantly meet people like that to reinforce, that whole sentiment of it, like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I felt like I just really recognized your energy when we met. I was like, "Ooh, yeah, I get
yeah, no, it's brilliant. Like, and I think even as a therapist and knowing all these different backgrounds and things that you've got so many life experiences to share with, your clients then. Because you've tried it all, you've seen it all, you understand what it is to be in a job that you didn't like, you understand what it is to stay even in relationships. Because that's one of the things, I have a friend, she's American actually, just like yourself, and she's in her 60s, and she says to me one time, she was like, do you know what your issue is, especially in relationships? She was like, you always stay too long. So that was also something I had to work on, where if something doesn't serve you, leave. You don't need to
yeah.
prove yourself for a year, 2 years. You know what I mean? So that was also I put that into everything that I do now. So it doesn't matter whether it's friendship. Like you can meet someone today and you get on, and maybe after a few weeks, like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Move on. It doesn't have to, things doesn't always have to end horribly.
Yeah,
You know what
completely.
I mean? It doesn't have to be a car crash before you're like, okay, yeah, no, it's not for me. No, I saw some red flags. Okay, we can discuss it, and then if nothing changes, if nothing improves, it's nice to meet you. Bye. With jobs, everything, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's good life advice completely. And you can't, most people, most courses won't even allow you to train to be a therapist until you're a certain age because it is a job that requires a
Oh,
lot of
wow,
life
I didn't know
experience.
that. What age do you have to be?
The program that I trained in, I think there was someone who was in her 20s, but she almost wasn't allowed on, and everyone else was like 35 plus on my course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that sentiment a bit, a little
Yeah,
bit.
well, and the young person who was on my course that once she qualified, she
Hmm.
actually like it was difficult for her with a lot of her first clients
Yes.
because they were like, "What do you know?" You're like, older clients would come in and
Yeah.
they'd be like, "I don't want to work with you. You're too young."
Yeah. No, I get, see, there's some people that you meet that, for example, with me, I always got, I even remember the HR lady that I with my last job was like, you're wiser than your age or whatever. But that came from the experiences that I got at such an early age of traveling, living by yourself, different people, backgrounds. So I think it necessarily doesn't have to be age, but usually with age comes that experience, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember when I was welfare officer in my university, and I had a woman come into my office, and she was going through a divorce. She just was going through so much. But all I could offer her was just a sympathy, because what do I know about divorce? What do I know about paying the bills and, and things, whatever concerns she, you know what I mean? So I kind of get that aspect of it. And yes, I offered her, a listening ear and, a pat on the back or whatever. But I qualified for that? No, because at that stage of life, I was
Yeah.
just, I never, it wasn't even something in my, you know
Completely.
what I mean? So I do get that as well. And even for me, when it's something I have to work on when it comes to therapy, because I really support therapy, and I don't think you have to be having a breakdown or a big life crisis to talk to a
Yeah.
therapist. I
Talk.
think
Yeah.
I think it's just to be able to talk to an objective person, someone that's not in your life, and that you can kind
That's
of
the
talk,
point.
you know what I mean? But it doesn't necessarily has to be, oh my God, I'm at rock bottom, help me. You know what I mean? It can just be like a nice little session just to get some emotions out and have a talk. But fun fact, Megan, I'm always like, oh, but I want to choose, for example, I would love to choose maybe a black person because I don't know if a white person would
Yeah.
understand what I'm talking about. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? With certain issues and understanding what it's like, and maybe discrimination or maybe, you know what I mean? So I've had,
This is like a whole nother podcast
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're getting into, but yeah, seriously.
of our training because a lot of people come into therapy and it's like this whole
Barrier.
split world of like, is it better to have clients who want to work with you because you are like them, so they think you'll have similar life experiences? Or is it better for you to have clients who are very different from you so that the growth edge is huge for both of you? So
Yeah,
I would grow as a therapist and they would grow as a client.
yeah.
So
And
yeah, it's a
no,
whole, well,
we can do
we
that another time. Yeah, yeah. But no, and it's being honest, like in a sense that I'm like honest, because for me, it's not about race or anything, but it's just like, does this person, will she understand what this means?
completely,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I think, because even with me, I'm like, okay, so when I'm choosing, I really have to like figure out who to speak to, because, but just on vibe and understanding, I just think it's, you want to feel understood, like culturally and things. But like when you said, like even someone like you, when you've traveled, you've done things, you've met different people, work with different backgrounds, I'd be probably more lenient towards like, oh, okay, at least she has an idea, you know? So, and I think being American as well for you, you definitely have a lot of insight on things like, different races, backgrounds, things like that as well,
and lots of travel.
Exactly.
So on the networking thing side of things, if people want to get in touch with you, if
Yes.
where can they find you? Where can they
Well,
check
yes, you
your message?
can find me on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just Olaide Anjorin,
Okay.
or
In
on
in the notes as well, in the
yes,
show
yeah,
notes. Yeah.
exactly. Or I'm on Instagram. I've been making out some lovely networks recently on Instagram, which is great. And what other platforms? I don't know.
Your website.
Oh yeah, well the Face Skincare website. So it's
Okay.
faceskincare.ie. And
Okay.
yeah, I had a personal website, but that's currently down now. So yeah, so find me, link with me on LinkedIn. Please say hello. I'm always happy to network, always happy to connect with people. I really think it's like the point of most things. So yeah. And thank you for having me today, Megan. It was so good to
Yeah,
chat with
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Career Congregation. I hope it gave you something to think about or inspired you in some way. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to like, subscribe, or share this episode with someone you think it might resonate with. Every bit of support helps. If you know someone who you think would make a great guest, please send them my way via the link in the show bio. And if you'd like to support the show and the work that I do, you can buy me a coffee via the coffee link also in the show bio. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week for another conversation about all things career.